Hey YouTube, it's your boy Vekl. You can find me on YouTube by typing in the search engine VEKL, and you're watching G-Man's channel, Preaching to the Choir Ministries. God bless.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. In this edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries, we're going to be talking about slavery. And before I say anything else, let me let all of you know something right now. I absolutely loathe the idea about slavery. That's L-O-A-T-H-E, for those of you who didn't understand me when I said that. And for those of you who don't know what that word means, it means to feel an intense dislike or a disgust for. Okay, there are people on YouTube that believe that I'm a supporter of slavery, and that somehow our churches support this kind of thing. I'm an African American man. I know my history in this country. I know the people that were before me, their history in this country. So when a person comes out their mouth and they say that black Christians are Uncle Toms, and they say that we support slavery, all they're doing is displaying their ignorance. They have no idea what they're saying, and the proof would be if they tried to make a law trying to bring it back. And you'll see just how much we support it. Now here's the thing. In this video, this is going to be kind of an introduction to maybe a three-part video series I'm going to be doing on slavery and the Bible. When I did my little videos in the past, they were not thorough at all. They were video responses to people making comments on my channel. Now I'm going to get into this, and then I think after I do these videos, some of you will appreciate the fact that I make 8-minute or 9-minute videos, you know, because I have no idea how long this one's going to be, and I'm not putting a time limit on it. Okay? So, first and foremost, let's talk about the history of this country here. Okay? I want to talk about the ones responsible for the transatlantic slave trade here in the United States. We're not talking about God today. We're not talking about Jesus. We're going to look at this from a completely and total naturalistic perspective. So for those of you out there who like it when I go that route, sometimes you're going to enjoy this video. First and foremost, let's talk about like how these slaves got to the United States in the first place. The people that was living in this country, you know, they got in their ships and they went over to these other nations, and they would speak to the leadership over there, the kings or the rulers or whoever was in charge back then, and these people would agree to trade some of their people for sugar and spice and different things that they would trade for. Sometimes it would just be money, and they would capture and they would be allowed to go into their land and capture a certain amount of people without having to worry about going to war or anything like that. And then when they captured these people, they had these big ships. They would take all the men and all the women on the ship and separate them, and they would tie them down in shackles beneath these big boats. They already had their ideas on how they may react when they put them on a boat and what they would have to do to discipline them. We had these men raping the women that was coming on these that were being brought on these ships, calling them wenches. I think that's spelled W-E-N-C-H-E-S. Calling them wenches. Calling the men bucks. Now there are other names that they called them, but I don't care to repeat those words in this particular video. And they had ways of controlling them on how to strike fear in their heart. For example, they would bring the women to the dock or to a public area, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit when you think about it, but they would embarrass the men. They would have the men get beaten in front of their women. They would be humiliated in just terrible ways right in front of their own women. Okay, so while these slaves was being brought back to the United States, many of them didn't make it. Many of them got motion sickness. Some of them just got real sick because of the conditions on the boat, and they died, and they were thrown overboard. Some of these men attempted to fight and get their freedom. The settlers in this country referred to these people as being less than human. They were savages. They were less than animals. I think, as a matter of fact, a lot of the slaves back then, the animals had more rights than the actual slaves did. Okay, and then when they were brought to this country, they would be auctioned off. And then when it was brought to the plantation, they was broken. They were beaten with whips. Some of them beaten with sticks and rods, until they accepted their new name and their new identity. Now, I know a lot of you out there think I don't know nothing about this particular topic, but I can assure you I do. But who's responsible for these atrocities? Who was the ones bringing these slaves to the New World? Who was bringing these slaves over here? It was people. It was people enslaving people. You know, they had laws to certain degrees on how many you could bring at one time, and they had certain laws who could be slaves and what countries they had to come from. But when they got over here, you know, I'm very thankful that there were good slave owners that treated their slaves with some type of dignity and respect. But then some of these other ones, man, they just raped the women. You know what I mean? Forced them to work and just to work and to work, and they would do this until the day they died. And then sometimes they would go over to these nations, and they would take these people. And they didn't trade anything. They didn't buy them. The kings didn't say it's okay. They went to them lands and they stole those people. You call that man stealing. They stole those people, and they put them in these ships, and the whole process happened again. But I want to point out who was responsible for this. It was humanity. It was people. Some people hear my opinions when I say that I think people are basically evil. And they'll laugh at me and they'll snark at me. But before I go any further with that, let's talk about some of the positives, because people were also responsible for ridding and getting rid of slavery. Now, the only reason I don't go into my own personal beliefs on this is because this is just an introduction, and I have to talk about this transatlantic slave trade. Okay? If it wasn't for the abolitionists and the revolutionists and the Harriet Tubmans and all these other people that risked their lives to free slaves and to fight for the freedom of what would be called African Americans in this country, if it wasn't for these brave people risking their necks, slavery still might exist in this country. Now, these people that was in these other lands, they had their beliefs. A lot of them were Muslims. Some of them were pagans. They worshiped trees and the animals and everything and whatnot. People had their various different beliefs. Okay, but when they were brought here, and this is when I give the scientific community credit, because they're right on this, Christianity was kind of on them. But the way Christianity works is you can't really become a Christian unless you yourself make a decision to become one. And then while I wasn't around back then, I do understand that many of them refused to become Christians.
What up? My name's Nate Cunningham with askachristianlive.org. You can also find me at youtube.com/religiousdiscussion. My whole goal is to have reasoned discussions regarding Christianity. So it doesn't matter what you believe or not believe in. If there's no respect, it really doesn't matter. So if you consider yourself such a person that would like to engage on a higher level of discussion, subscribe to me on YouTube or find me on Google+. With that being said, I'll now return you to Preaching to the Choir Ministries with G-Man. Take care.
And they remained Muslims, and they remained what they actually believed during that particular time. Some of them heard the message and believed it. They had love in their heart for other people. You know, I don't want to get too far into that because then I got to bring the Bible and everything into it. The fact of the matter is, people, you know, fought in the in the Civil War. We had presidents, Abraham Lincoln. We had people in high places working to make the slaves free in this country. Now, some of you could say it was a political agenda, and maybe it was. Where Abraham Lincoln only wanted to sign the Emancipation Proclamation because he wanted to just crush the South and take away their free labor. But these people didn't know how to be free. When Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation in the North defeated the South, you know, African Americans, people who came from these other nations, had to learn to be free. We had to learn to think for ourselves. We had to edify ourselves. And we only knew what our ancestors had, well, what our grandparents or great-great-grandparents had told us, or how we got in the country in the first place. And we knew what they taught us. Some of these slave owners taught the slaves how to read. They had compassion on them. They had pity on them. They taught them how to read. They taught them how to write. And they used this to get themselves further educated. They took what they know and they started businesses and they started to do well in history. And then, you know, you had the haters that wanted to start the Ku Klux Klan. You had the haters that wanted to make all these laws saying that there had to be segregation. And all of you know that history and everything. It took a long time to get that stuff out of this country. And to some degree, it still goes on. We have people every now and then blurting out their opinions and saying black people are this and black people are that. But don't get it twisted. Black people are just as guilty. We say the same thing about and I'm saying we because I am black. You know, I'm not saying I said it, but African Americans say things. The Hebrew Israelites is a perfect example. We tend to say things about other races that, you know, that's hurtful. It's not edifying. It's not building nobody up. So, there's a lot of horrible things that goes on in this country, and I like to avoid talking about this stuff because stuff is very personal. And I'm putting myself out there on YouTube talking about this, okay? And this is not acting. This is not lying. This is what I really feel about this. I hate this. I hate the fact that African Americans were slaves in this country and how we were treated by these slave owners. I mean, Willie Lynch held a meeting, and some people can debate whether or not this actually happened or not. But you look at society, you see this stuff going on, where they teach you why you don't got to beat your slaves to death and how you can create create the perfect slave, embarrassing them in front of their women and doing all kinds of things to just completely and utterly destroy this race of people. Now, there are variations in what people believe about this stuff concerning history, and that's fine. There are some people that would do a video like this and will focus more on the laws and how the people work to make certain laws happen and go into great detail about that stuff. But I don't think I need to do that. I just want you people to know that I absolutely hate what happened in this country. Okay? Not too long. It wasn't that long ago that I didn't have the right to do what I'm doing right now. It wasn't that long ago I couldn't walk into I couldn't walk into a restaurant unless it was all black. And if I did, I had to sit in only a black section in certain restaurants, or I have to go to a water fountain where only like colored people can go drink water. Some of you are saying you endorse slavery and you support this and all this stuff and whatnot. And when you watch a movie like Roots, for example, even as a Christian for myself, when you watch a movie like Roots and you're being reminded about the atrocities that happen in this country, and I go outside and I see somebody that don't look like me, it's really easy for me to get mad and be hated and be hateful toward that person. But me, the way I grew up, I love everybody, and I'm gonna catch heat for the Hebrew Israelites saying it. I love Caucasian people, Asian, and when I say love, let me explain to you what I mean by this. Okay, I sincerely and genuinely care about other people. That's what I mean by that. I'm concerned about their welfare. I'm concerned about their concerns. Okay. This is and I feel this way about Caucasian people, Asian people, Indian people, Arab people. I don't care, because I when I say I hate something, I hate it. I loathe it. I feel an intense dislike or disgust for it. Okay, and I'm not gonna live like a person that did the things that they did back then. I'm not gonna live my life that way. If I'm around somebody who don't look like me, I'm gonna talk to them just like you're one. I mean, I'm gonna talk to you like you're a human being. You got blood flowing through your veins just like I do. I'm not better than you, and you're certainly not better than me. So I just wanted to put this out there. I'm very aware of the history of slavery in this country, and what was going on over there in Europe. Slavery is a very sensitive issue to somebody like me. You know, and I have Colt Dusty saying that, you know, that black Christians are Uncle Toms. No, we're not selling out our people. Some of us just know how to forgive. And you want to see people that don't forgive? Look no further to the black Hebrew Israelites. Not all of them, because I can't speak for all of them. But listen to the ones on the street calling people that look different from them all kinds of B words. I mean, you people want to be mad at somebody, be mad at them. When you're walking down the street and you're holding your wife's hand, okay, and your wife, it doesn't look like them, and they say, you know what, you're an Edomite, God is going to destroy you simply because of the color of your skin, which is ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. I wasn't going to show my face in this video, and I was just going to do the audio because I know how I can get on camera sometimes. So I just want to let you guys know that I am not a supporter of slavery. In the next series, we're going to be talking about slavery in the Bible. We're going to be going verse by verse in some of these very difficult passages to read in the Bible. This stuff is a reality. It's in the scriptures. And we're going to be talking about in detail what is being said in the scriptures. I may be using a dictionary during that particular time, a Bible concordance, and to go into some original language. I may be using some commentary. But my goal is to get people to see what the Bible says and what it doesn't say. Okay, and we kind of like have like a group Bible study, I guess you can call it. And then when the video is over, you can go to the comment section and you can ask your questions. Well, if that's true, then why does the Bible say this? If that's true, now I want to let you guys know something. This is a very sensitive issue to me, and I'm going to be checking out the chat. I was thinking about disabling the comments for this particular video, but I might not do it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the comments, and if I get too many trolls, you're either going to be blocked from my channel, or I'm going to just delete your comments until I'm finished with this series and I move on to something else. Because I'm very serious about this. I mean, and if you guys sincerely care what Christians think about this particular matter, or if you think I'm wrong, I want intellectual comments left below the video. If I don't see them, don't expect to see your comment. They're very long. I may even use a screenshot and use it in my next video, since I'm guilty of putting everyone in categories. What happened in this country was disgusting. It was disgusting. And every time I go outside and I tell somebody that looks different from me that I love them and that I care about their welfare, and I enjoy being around them and I enjoy having conversation with them, every time I do that, I show that I've forgiven them. I can't live in the same country with the ancestors of the people that did that to my people and not have that attitude. It's just not possible. I'll just be a hateful person, and I'm not going to live my life that way. I refuse to. And the beautiful thing is, there are some atheists. There are some atheists who agree 100%. There's a lot of you. I mean, a lot of you that agree with me wholeheartedly on this. So I'm in the video now. I don't want to make it too long because I know how you guys feel about real long videos, but just wanted to let you guys know how I felt about this. This is just an introduction. We're going to get really meaty soon. We're going to be looking in the book of Exodus. We're going to be looking at Leviticus and some other passages in the Bible. We're going to be looking at some of these hard things, even some of the things that Jesus said about slavery in my next video. So try to digest this, think on this for a little bit, and if I can, I'll do it tonight. If not, I'll do it tomorrow. Until next time, guys, this has been another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. I'm not going to do my usual thing. Talk to you guys later.